I knew it would go sideways. I don't know why it does that. Oh well, it's going to be this way. Hi everyone. It's probably very late where you are. I've been fiercely plodding away at the astrology aspects of things and tuning into what's coming through of a collective nature. And I thought I'd check in with you guys, obviously, because this is a week where we are moving into the frequency of downloads, insecurities, frequencies where we're very confused and not knowing which way to go, how we feel about it, what's real, what's not, blah, blah, blah. You know, really getting frustrated with, getting very disheartened by the 3D nature of where we stand, of, you know, how do we look at this? Hi, how do we look at this? How do we feel about it? Do we go backwards? Do we go forwards? Do we start a new path? Hi, Hardly. Now, just looking at the energy of the astrology is very interesting. And initially, I had actually printed off a lot of information about the astrology, but because I was trying to get the balance, which we're all trying to do this year, even when you look at the aspects of what they were suggesting in terms of astrology, our frequency was really to the point where we would achieve great things, but we would need to very much be focused in a particular area and really apply ourselves. It was going to be very energetically draining. Now, a lot of people, when they're looking at their spiritual path, their passion, their connections, be it soulmate, twin flame, where, there you go. We were looking at, you know, all of those aspects, and even if you were in a soulmate connection, it's sort of, how do I explain it? Now, I have twin flame soulmate energies, which I give readings for, and even with my clientele that are directly connected with their twin flame soulmate, are directly experiencing issues within the connection, and that is because, spiritually speaking, they're going through a transformation. That is both within partnerships, partnerships, you know, really doing a spiritual transformation where it had been problematic to be able to resolve those frequencies inside ourselves. Just really looking over the videos as I've gone through and the frequency and moving into this week, it's kind of a funny frequency moving into the 16th. And that is because we have Mercury going retrograde, Venus, no. What was it, Shelley? Where did I put it? Bear with me, 2.5. It's Mercury or Mars. It's Mercury, I'm pretty sure. So Venus is swapping at the same time on the 16th as Mercury. Now, this can be problematic because Mercury's going backwards, which is all the aspects of our communication, the way we deal with things, the way we see things. And it's a fast-paced energy. However, it's going retrograde. So it's not the greatest of times to get, like, sort of procedures done, which I was saying to Shelley, you know. So, you know, if you were going to go and have some cosmetic surgery, operations and things like that, because the two energies are opposing and they're at the same point that they're doing this flip, it's really not a great time in communication, in doing things, and mishaps can happen. So that's predominantly why it's not the best time to do things like that. So try and clear your day and be very, very self-aware of the 16th. You can get it either side as well with that frequency. And a lot of you at the moment are trying to make rational decisions. You need to just not make any decision right now. And I know that sounds hard. If you have to, you have to. It's the way it goes. We can't not make decisions, but when they're major things that you do actually have complete control over, I would hi Olsen, I'd very much look at and you like after the 16th. And that is because what you're feeling is not what it is. It's like we're going into a desert and it's a mirage. So we're feeling everything, right? We're looking at something and seeing that perhaps it's a better option. And this can be within our path, within career, within our love life, and going, hey, this scenario looks like a simpler or the only possible path forward. On the other side, things at a 360 can come through to you at that time, and it can be a confusing time to communicate. So between now and the 16th, and I'll say a few days after, be mindful of that, you know, and the adjustment stage can take a week. Either side of planets moving, and definitely tuning into the planets when Mars and Mercury were retrograde. A lot of times the frequency of that didn't actually seep through, in my eyes personally, and what I was experiencing till after the fact, which was really strange, because generally it's happening in that given time. But what was physically happening was technology and situations like that were happening directly after the fact the following month. So it has been interesting. Now, what I was seeing is Venus energy and a notion of Venus coming through in December, and that is because things will be moving, but we're then reaching Christmas and New Year's. So, you know, even from a rational 3D point, we might be coming to a place where we've purged, we've healed, we're looking at things, and then we're then getting to the 3D. It's like, hey, is this fair to make any major transitions? Is it rational at a financial level to make any major transitions? Do we wait until January, February? Do we just hold space within our life to make those major adjustments? It can be fast-paced energy moving through in December, but at a separate level, what you're going to need to be mindful of is you've spent a year purging. Hello, Stella. So that purge has been exhausting. And with the exhaustion of it, it can be to the point where we want to, but we just don't have that frequency to do that. Hi, Deb. So try and be mindful that this week we're not seeing things correctly. We're not feeling them correctly. We are getting triggered. We are looking at things where we've got that nostalgic frequency, and then we've got that anger coming through, where we're sort of looking at it going, why would I do this? How do I feel about this person? So you're not quite going to be yourself, but you're going to come out of it very quickly. But it can be a very depressed energy where it's looking bleak. But now, I explained to Shelley previously before we got on, it's like a lot of us are in this egoic state where we're looking at counterpart, twin energy, soulmate energy, and the way masculines and feminines are doing their healing process is the direct mirror. Now, the reason I'm saying that is our frequency this year has not just been based on twin. It's actually been based on the collective of what has not transpired in a beautiful sense for us personally. So it hasn't been one singular energy, although the frustration connected to what is going on in that domain has perhaps triggered it even further, of really looking left and right and thinking, hey, going backwards to perhaps another person separate to twin, then looking at twin and looking, you know, do you go that way? Then looking at just, do we wipe away everything and move into 2019 with a complete different person? Now, remind me to come back to masculine and how they're doing the energy. What I will say about 2019, it equates to a number 12 year. We're in a number 11 year. And when you look at that at the moment, the 1 and the 1 is about a separation with self, you know, because 2 is duality, and that's within each person coming to a whole place. So that's the work we've been doing. Now, it did state this is a very romantic year. Yes, falling back in love with ourselves and getting to know ourselves, yes, but not so much in a let's, you know, work with this at a correct level right now, because we weren't in alignment with ourselves. So it made it very difficult to create healthy boundaries, to be accepting of other people, because we couldn't accept ourselves, so it didn't quite look like it should. Then you come to a place where you're looking at your whole life of the past in 2018, moving all the way back, and there's a lot of projections going on and a lot of psychoanalytical energy, you know, inside of yourself that you're working through. 2012 is actually about no new connections. Now, this is very interesting because this year was about dealing with old connections. 2012 is about healing current connections. So by the end of the year, if you haven't met anyone by that time, moving out of Venus retrograde, highlighted energy for 2019 is old frequencies, and it's doing the work in it and cementing it in. And there's some time frames that are January, there is time frames with a lunar eclipse, and it's a total lunar eclipse. There's certain planets going direct and retrograde. I need to research them more. But the frequency in that can be a volatile energy at a temporary level. Frustration. February, again, I do need to research it more. March does seem like a catalyst point, but anywhere from now through to these times is a transformative period moving into where you are going to be working on. At this point between this week and next week is where we're going to gain that clarity, not necessarily have all the P's and Q's together, but have a slight frequency of an acceptance of how we're moving in life. You know, be it we're removing the ego to a point where saying, okay, this is the 3D nature of things. This is what we need to physically do. How we move forward, some things may be out of our control, but then as we're getting triggered with the external, we need to then move back into the internal and say, what do we directly have control over? And in a manifestation cycle with the moons, which again in 2019 I will be doing more energies with the planets and the moon, so I'm trying to get as organized as I can, but there's hundreds of videos I'm doing before next year. Trying to come to that place where we can manifest around that time. Now the moon energy has been very different this year, and that is because we've had Chiron, we've had planets retrograde, so our purging has not been at a normal level, and there has been a transmutation of quite angry energy. Now the veil is completely thin. It's very thin. And a lot of our egoic state is more in the 4D, but it's transmuting down into the 3D. What we're needing to do is get quite grounded, because the reality is once you purge those cycles and you have this realization that you can't break what's broken, you can use the bricks to build a solid foundation for a new start. That's with whatever, whoever with. You can't change the past. You can learn from it. Another thing that one of my lovely clients said to me, which was very interesting, which is completely true. And when we move away from our state of feeling that we have no power and we're moving away from it because we're stating, I just don't know. I just don't know. What we're actually saying is we know, but the option doesn't look so beautiful. And that's the sad truth. It's like you do know what you want. You're undecided whether it's going to look a certain way. You know, you're like, no, I don't want this, I don't want that. And that's the problem with manifesting. It's like we're saying, I don't want this and I don't want that, but you haven't transmuted what you actually want. But they need to come this way, they need to come that way, which what you're transmuting is, I don't feel safe to create healthy boundaries. And for me personally, when you deal with twin, you get the trigger points, you get the information, you jump back out and you do the work on yourself. And even if you aren't directly with your twin, that will directly be happening in your life because that's your soul path. Your soul path is to evolve to a point where you're coming into a whole self. And people in the sense of the journey that have been on it a long time, no, it's not saying you're not going to have a relationship with them or with whoever. But your path in general in your life is extremely complicated. It is really, really evolving. And it can feel like you're spiritually raped. I can tell you that. It's very, very exhausting. You know, shortfalls in life, looking at your path, psychoanalytical energy, the mirroring. So it can become mentally, physically exhausting. This has been a transformative year for more so first wavers. Second wave, I'll say first wavers because look, the initial first wavers are a lot older. They're in the older generation bracket. So the ones we talk about, they would more be in unions and connected or chose their spiritual path. When I deem first wavers, I'm speaking more in layman's terms of those of us who are going through an awakening, those of us who are understanding the aspect of the old codependent paradigms. It is really breaking down the frequencies of interconnecting families, understanding and having direct compassion, knowing that a lot of the old frequencies of direct relationships are and were very codependent. It was the notion that getting into a connection was based on, now, a spiritual connection and a reality-based connection, our world is very different. And, you know, a lot of times our elders will say to us, why can't you get a relationship? What's wrong with you people? the world is a very different place. It's not made up the way we romantically saw it in novels. It's not the same. We have families that are split. We are merging those paradigms. We have mothers and fathers that are solo parents. We have fathers that stay home and raise children. We're breaking down those paradigms in this new age. And, you know, our egoic state is trying to fit ourselves into a box of what we previously were energetically on the planet, which we just don't directly connect in with. A lot of the purging has been connected to trying to bridge that gap with our differences, which is almost racism when you think about it. It's bridging that gap of understanding that people don't have to look the way you feel they should look. And that's very hard. That's no, because it's going to directly impact me. So you need to look a certain way. You need to react a certain way. You need to deal a certain way. Our egoic state that's being purged is shit just happens. And that's very hard for us to accept because we believe we can alchemize anything, you know, into fruition. But some things weren't destined yet. So the push is you saying you don't deserve manifestation. The disbelief is then not believing in hopes and dreams. Really teaching our children that we can work through our difficulties and take accountability for our issues and not then point the finger and say, because soulmate, because twin, because mum and dad did X, Y, and Z, that we're not directly taking accountability, which is saying we have no power. We do have power. We can't change what another thinks, but we can actually change how we directly relate to them. I talked to a friend last night and they were going through a very difficult time in their family. And the most funny thing is many people have said to me, what is a normal family? There is no normal family because normal is, it's putting something again in a paradigm. It doesn't exist. It's a fake perception of what's rational. No, what you're actually saying is it doesn't quite look the way I thought it should have been, which is expectation, which is sad because we do hope and we are allowed to hope for things that we feel we have an entitlement to. But then when we get disheartened, what we're feeling is because we didn't receive what we felt our value system was, the universe has shown us that we're not deserving of it. But that's where we transmute that frequency out and we have a realization of, no, that's not so. That is a them problem, not a you problem. And sometimes to even accept the diabolical in the dance in a family connection and accepting each person individually as they are, creating those healthy boundaries and doing that dance is so. And if that means limiting the contact, that means limiting the contact. If that means detoxifying yourself and white lighting yourself, you do that, but you do it in the way you feel correct. But then if you're getting triggered with them, it is an aspect of you going on that you need to directly address. 2019 is about working on those connections. So it's going to be facing your fears of, can you succeed in your career? Can you succeed in your financial domain? Will you be okay without knowing completely what the hell you're going to do? And it's not to say you're not going to know what you're going to do, but releasing that in a reality is completely freeing yourself so that Chiron energy that's going to be moving through till 2027 isn't going to directly impact you. That's the wound. You know, we've had that wound factor there for many years over our lifetime, but we haven't directly dealt with it. We've used the Band-Aid effect. So knowing that means if we can work, we're moving into the frequency of understanding that we don't directly need to have, we don't need to feel that we have to have our hand on the bloody steering wheel so tightly that if shit goes down, we don't have the tools to deal with it, because it's not true. You can't preempt what's going to happen. We can't always. That's what I'm saying. So having that frequency of feeling you've got to build Noah's Ark in your food bank, because what if you starve? Or you need to create too many boundaries to a point no one can get into your heart. You know, and I'll come back to the masculine energy. Masculines in their mindset was, I felt an energy of what happened in my childhood. All our blocks come from childhood. Moving forward, more blocks added, right? masculine was affected in some shape or form, and masculine can be in a feminine or a masculine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't discriminate. So whoever holds the initial masculine energy, when we come into duality, we balance both. The masculine frequency in their block from childhood moving forward, receiving more blocks, the band-aid effect of, okay, how do I prevent this hurt from healing, from happening? Realizing that if they created big boundaries or directly choosing people that would fail them, they could somehow spiritually protect themselves because they hadn't directly invested. They felt at a mental, spiritual, physical level that was the easiest way of not having a direct connection. So in doing that, what they were doing is they were manipulating the ecosystem of connections to keep themselves safe. But what has happened is universe is aiding them to see that not one of us is immune from pain. Even when we spiritually feel that we haven't directly connected in and we got one foot in the door, one foot out, what then does actually happen is at some point we get worn down because, you know, feminines were believing they could fix things, they could make things right. So some of you who have been on your spiritual path in love and in your evolution have been going through perhaps toxic relationships, perhaps connections where people didn't have healthy boundaries in your life and had expectations and wanted to put you into a box of that's what you needed to look like. Picking careers in certain domains because it's what you thought was socially acceptable. All of this has been worked through probably since 2016, but heavily so this year. But you guys have been ongoingly doing that. But your belief in the connection has been, in a way, it kept you going. Through that process, the ego in the control-related issues of feeling you needed to fix it, you needed to be there at the right time, in the right way, in the right look, again, was the exact same thing you were transmuting. So the pain hasn't just been connected to a counterpart, a soulmate. It's been collective energy from childhood. So it's the same thing. But your belief was it can be fixed. Don't let this end. Whereas masculines was, I'm going to pick something that won't work so they won't get in, which is regardless of what you did, whether you tried to fix it or you picked connections that perhaps you had a way of controlling it, it was still control, the mirror. So in releasing that frequency is trusting in the 5D, getting to a point when you're getting triggered in the 3D, in the 4D of your egoic state, that what you're feeling in an energetic frequency with where the planets are between now and the 16th, we're not seeing things clearly because we are purging the egoic state. We're getting in the fear-based energies of, okay, in past years, when we broke, did we actually make it through? Yes. If we pick a path and it doesn't work, it's divinely guided. Yes. If a door is closed, doesn't mean it's never. No, it doesn't. So when we release and face these shadow aspects, it doesn't mean to say you're immune to not failing. But because you've been fighting against it so long, it's like you're manifesting it in. Whereas if you be in the energy, that would be my advice, be in the energy of what you're feeling. It's perfect. Purging is perfect in a sense that, and when I say purging, for those masculines that are watching in the background, it's when you feel like crap and you're in it and you want to mask it. Try not to do that, or at a subtle level. Try to reduce your ability to not hear yourself and hear yourself. Because what you're feeling is the truth. It's your truth. It's not anyone else's. It's your truth of what is correct for you. Not what it will look like to another person, which has been hard because we're all going through that kind of frequency of what do other people think about us? You know, can we accept our quirks? There's a lot of energy of judgment at the moment and aggression and anger. So moving through that is helping us actually purge that. So when you're in that frequency and you're going, I can't go on. Yes, you can go on. You don't want to, but, you know, it's going to stop. It's not going to be there forever. By actually moving through that frequency, what happens is it doesn't come back again because you've dealt with it. Try when you're having a purge, get to the point where you look at your childhood, just briefly, and go childhood. And then picture a sweeping brush and the amount of baggage you've purged over the years, and then go, do I really want to go back to doing that? How has that benefited me? Even if you have to use an X as an energy to look at, it is a direct reflection of what's going on in you. If you have a judgment connected to masculine, soulmate, any energy outside of yourself, and you are in that state of judgment, it is a direct reflection of yourself, and you need to ask yourself, good or bad, why? And what it's trying to tell you, okay? So if you can see the person stuck, have direct compassion. If you can see something else in an aspect of them not facing their fears and sweeping it under the carpet, and that's really directly impacted them, you then don't do that. If you feel the communication is poor, you can't fix their communication, but you can allow them to evolve to understand that communicating is a natural part of way of being, and it is a safe paradigm to communicate in without judgment. Unfortunately, masculines have been quite judgmental towards themselves, and that's male energy collectively. But all of us are at that frequency of changing and trying to work out what the new paradigm is going to be. So masculine's energy was always hunter-gatherer, provider. Feminine's was nurturer, creator, you know, person who gives birth, etc. Those have shifted. So feminine's almost going through the masculine energy where we're like, we don't even know what we're supposed to be. In some ways, especially through the transformation, almost feeling less attractive, because in order to survive, they had to hold masculine energy. Masculine energies felt very demasculinized, if that's even a friggin' word, because they were the hunter-gatherer, and it's the paradigm they understood. But some of their parent figures were not correct masculine figures in their mind. So their self-esteem connected to it wasn't, I didn't get that, so therefore if I don't have children, I won't transmute that to my child. I won't put another human being through that. So the fair two connections of, I don't want to recreate that paradigm, but in that state, because they hadn't purged it, they were holding on to it. What was happening in their world was it was happening, it was happening, it was happening. So they may have ended up with children through karmics, or they may have had situations in their life show them the mirror because they were supposed to let it go, but they weren't letting it go. So until we can actually grasp the fact that we're a magnet, and just look at yourself as a magnet, you're attracting the energy of what you don't want so that you can purge it because you were holding on to it. Like if you, it's almost like saying, something hurt me, so I'm going to put a wall up and then they can't get here, and then a mouse climbs in the background and bites your heel. It's the same thing. Happy Halloween. We can believe we have control over things, but when things happen, they do happen for a reason. But who we're going to be at the end of it is different. And the old saying goes, broken people are dangerous. Now, it can be transmuted correctly because you've removed, I can't say you've removed. You've been humbled to a point where you realize that the glass ceiling is no longer there. There's nothing that can stop you because you're no longer operating from a manipulation point of view to prevent something happening to you. You're no longer operating from a point of, if I give this person X, Y, and Z, I'm going to get something directly back. No, that's an earned factor. It's a trust-based factor. So yes, we can let people come back into our life, but we do need to get to a point where, you know, maybe we take it slower. Maybe we do get to a point where we are lighter in the frequency, where we are not putting tags on it. It's not to say we don't have an entitlement for the tag, but it can be that we can say, okay, well, I have created my castle. I am internally abundant. I am financially abundant. I have everything I wish and desire. Mark, maybe he might need the trunk. I did say I was going to borrow that, but I think we can leave the trunk behind now. But, you know, getting to a point you realize you don't have to micromanage everything and you can just go with the flow. I mean, it's almost like we're like, it's not happening the way we want, so we need to do this. Maybe if we do that, it's like, it gets exhausting. It does get exhausting. If you've got blocks, yes, you need to work on them. If you need to, book a reading and I can help you work through your blocks, especially in the way you communicate. I can key point mindsets, the way you're seeing things. I can tune into, you know, your love interest, your soulmate, you know, your path, and see where the foundation is rocky. Because again, 2019 is going to be very interesting. And look, from 2018 through to 2020, it is a mass transformation. We're moving into the age of Aquarius. We're going to be very different people. We're really going to be dropping our shit, so to speak, because it just won't work for us. So if we're in that anger, rebellion, it's not going to work for you. It just simply won't, because universe will directly, you know, assist you to see a different way. Be that a soulmate energy come in towards you, be that a 3D tower moment happen. We are believing that the only people that are changing are feminine energies, and that's not so. The hermit mode for masculine is the realization that something isn't working. Universe is, we are all human beings, so we can't be in our ego saying the other person is not purging or healing. Males do it, masculines do it in a very different way. And that is the paradigm of we're different, but we're expecting them to look a certain way, or expecting ourselves to look a certain way. And when we drop that, we're able to move through. But it is going to be a tough week, guys. So I just wanted to give you guys an update that, yes, I know you may be going through bouts of depression in pockets. Most of you will be coming to a place where you're getting very frustrated and like, look, it's coming to the end of the year. This has been ridiculous. I need to know left or right. What way am I going to go? Try and just make it through to the 16th. But know that there can be tower moments between now and the 16th, because we are purging and we're having things come at left field. Communication can be sharp. So be mindful of the way in which you communicate, especially if you're having contact with your soulmate or your twin flame, people from the past. There is still that frequency there. I will do another update again. I am currently working on the videos for, well, I'll try and do the ones for this week for soulmate energy. But I will also try and do a mid-month, but it depends on how chock-a-block I am. Otherwise, I'll try and do them live. Any questions while we're here? Any questions? This used to be me nursing. People would come up to me and they would be like grabbing, people would pinch pens. So if I had to do my notes, I'd put a pen in my hair. Sometimes I'd end up with 3. Any questions connected to astrology or blocks that you're having? If they're not approaching you, it's because they are directly, how do I put it? Yildiz, have you removed? I'll tell you about that in a minute. What was the first question? If they're not approaching you, it's because we're all psychoanalyzing everything. Don't take it personal. This is the ending of karmic cycles. So even if they're in their egoic state and they don't want to, if it is divinely guided and it's meant to happen in any one of our lives, it will come crashing down. Or they probably already directly know what they want to do, how they're going to get there. But dealing with those things for males and females in general, collectively, there is a lot of frustration. We were very hopeful we would achieve more. We do have a lot on our plate. If you're getting downloads about what you need to handle and you're getting a panic, it's because something's coming. Pay attention to your frequency. It'll directly give you some information about what's coming. It's a bit like being pregnant and going into nest mode. When you go into that frequency, it is your body receiving a frequency and a vibration and an inner knowing from the 5D to the 3D. So trust in your instincts when you're dealing with things. Now, as for the page with the bookings, the other day I went to delete a style of read, which was a special that was up, and I deleted all of them. So I have updated it because we are moving into, you know, the new year, and I did need to give the page a facelift, but I've now provided different readings that are soulmate and twin flame, as well as a general. And I am going to do another one that is a booking that you can focus on your general life and your soulmate or your twin flame thing in the same. I do emails, Skype, telephone, video. And then anything else is negotiable. If you need a group booking, inbox me. If you wanted to have a birthday party read, I did have them up initially. But if you wanted to have group bookings and you had 5 people, inbox me. And I can tee it up at a discount price for you via one Skype account. And we can do it, you know, from that one location for you. Mercury, no, it's not. It's really not, Andrew. I was looking at that. Where is it? Okay. From the 16th, no, it's not. It's a pretty crappy time to travel. You can travel, but you do need to take into account delays. So it's, yes, it's not. Yeah, no. Yeah. Are you going somewhere? Recognizing the energies now a lot quicker. No drama. Yeah, try and do what you can to look after your cash component, because February and March could be a bit tough, but December as well, be super cautious. It should be fine. Just expect delays, have a little bit of backup money, you know, take copies, make sure you got everything packed. What date are you going? If you don't mind me asking. It should have settled down. It won't be too bad. It's more smack bang on the 16th. If it's even after the 17th, then yeah, it should be fine. It's more, there can be delays, there can be miscommunication. Print everything out ahead of time. Get everything printed out and done ahead of time. Get your bag packed ahead of time if you can, or be super cautious with a checklist because you can forget things. I may have knee-jerk cutting idea. Look, if you need to cut a person off because they're not directly dealing with their blocks and it's not sitting with your frequency, you've always done the right thing. We can be worried that, you know, choose the way in which you communicate to them. Sometimes we've delayed. The old saying, you don't know what you got till it's gone. Do you know what I mean? If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If the person is going to see the value within you, they're going to see the value within you. Yes, it might not happen on your time frame of when you feel, but yes, it will happen. Reality will come. There has been headaches for many people, backaches, knee pains, nausea for some of you. The ringing in the air is going on and off. Birds are giving you energy messages as well. You're also getting a panicked feeling looking directly at your phone or your door that something is coming, that something is changing. You need to pay attention to those frequencies. The shadow or the veil being thinner will mean that you will see more energies of the dead. And that is because it is, even if it's on your peripheral, you'll see something move. Yes, it's because the veil is thin. Plus, as we remove, you know, I can't say remove, as we transform, we tend to see things on our peripheral. Now, if you're very tired, you are open to spiritual attack. You need to be careful. And I will do an update on the video connected to how to protect yourself. So The positioning of your room is extremely important, especially since everyone's been purging this year. Do not have your feet pointing. If you've got a bed, I'll try and draw a picture. Have purple crystals like amethyst. Okay. Okay. If this is your bed and that's the window and the window is at feet level, you should never have your bed facing a window. Now, the window would need to be at that level that is touching your feet, okay? If that happens, what happens is when we're having our crown chakra activated and we're an empath and we're going through a spiritual portal is through your feet, okay? So entities and energies can directly attack you, which has happened to me. And yes, I have a bit like paranormal activity, feet pulled off the bed. Yes, that can happen. That has happened to me. You need to come to a place where you realize as you are purging or as you are going through your blocks, if you've got any codependency, if you have like drug, alcohol, you know, issues like that, your energy frequency, your aura is actually at risk of having a spiritual attack. So what you will have latch onto you in your energy frequency is shitty luck, as well as negative energies. It's very thin at the moment. So during certain times, you will more be at risk. And that is around the moon phase, either side. So a week either side, you need to be mindful of the calendar about that. There is time frames of when that is more high, and that can be at 3 o'clock in the morning. The temperature in your room will change. In the dark, you will directly see energies going up and over the wall. A bit like your eyes adjusting to the light and the frequency. You will see shadow people going up and over, you know, your wall. You will feel something or you will directly see something. And as it opens and opens and opens, more will happen to you, okay? So by protecting yourself. Now, if you're feeling negative, you can put a bowl of water under your bed. You need to then throw that out the next day and repeat. You can also put crystals in your bedroom around the room to protect yourself. You can also try to put a lemon in each room and see which one turns black. There, the frequency is a negative energy. And you will need to cleanse that room. You can do cleansing ceremonies. You can Google YouTube videos. Haunt Lysiana on my channel. She is very aware of, you know, how to do the clearing and the cleansings. And again, I'll do more videos. Now, with bedrooms, you will find that there will be a damp feeling in a room. So try and, you know, ground yourself outside of the house. Make sure everyone's out. And then what you can do is do some breathing exercises, have a bag of salt, a smudge stick, and stand outside the home. Open the back door, open the front door, walk outside, do some breathing, and clear your chakra off, okay? So clear yourself, so you're protected and grounded, and wear some crystals. Gradually walk through the house and check for temperature change, check for smells, and dampness. That's going to show you where some of the frequency is off. Write it down, gauge it out, then go through and clear room by room with the windows open. When you leave the house, you can then clear your chakra off and get yourself grounded. So you're closing it off so that they can't enter into you. Then have a shower, okay? You can also listen to, I think it's jinn removal, especially if there's a lot of fighting in your home. There's negative energy forces there, so you can use the crystals, but again, the crystals will need to be cleared of the full moon or new moon in general, moon energy, or if you feel that they've been nuked for 6, you can wash them with salt water, dry them off and put them back till the point you can put them out of the moon energy. What it does, you'll even notice with certain crystals, if you're wearing them, especially the amethyst, it will come to a point where it will go white. Now, that is because it has directly, it's done its magic, but it's detoxified your chakras and protected you that it needs to physically be either re-energized and it will change back. If it can't, you need to buy a new one. If a crystal breaks, it's directly served its purpose. You can then go and get another one. But, you know, a lot of us believe with crystal energy that we can use them as chakra crystals, for instance. Oh, I'll wear them all the time. No, you shouldn't. Because it's a bit like a chakra overactive or underactive. It can deplete your frequency. So what it's doing is the counter, direct opposite of what it's supposed to be doing. So if you're feeling you need, especially during Venus retrograde, I would suggest, you know, your pink stones and your green stones, which is heart chakra, as well as, you know, the romance for the pink quartz, etc. That's going to ground you. The negative energies are the onyx and the, I've forgotten the other one. Starts with A. Yeah, you know the one. What? Triple Libra. Ooh. Triple Libra big time. For what? Yildiz readings, can you address Triple Librans questions regarding... Okay, where is it? Tons of fighting with my kids. I'm a single mum. Oh, love, I've been going through the same thing. Look, how do I put it? At the moment, our kids are... Okay, most of us will be crystalline ingos, right? And I don't really get caught up on the connection of the correct name. We're all evolving souls. And again, to me, deeming it to a particular name is shoving something in a box. So I'm just not that sort of reader. It's getting very warm out here. So I'm not stripping. It's warm. We're coming into summer here. With the kids at the moment, it's grating on your nerves. And I was discussing this with Shelley earlier. They are going through a purge cycle as well. So how they're dealing with things, how they're seeing things, they're quite angry and frustrated. It can be that you need to look at their room and cleanse it. It can be crystals as well. You need to hear their side, okay? Because there is a lot of that going on with kids at the moment. That can really be a problem point for us. But what we're seeing is who we were, but in a very volatile state. And, you know, especially when you're a solo parent, it's very difficult because your soul path would directly be you're balancing your masculine, your feminine energy at a very high frequency. And then when you're healing, you're like, oh, you know, how do I deal with this? It may be that you need to clear that. It could be actually the room itself. Is there... Okay, 1 minute. Okay, feet aren't near the window though, but the dresser, yes, and that was another thing I was going to say. So I'm glad I read back. Now, as for the picture, this applies to a mirror, a door, or a window. So if that's so, you need to move the bed. When you move the bed, especially those posted beds, you need to cleanse under the bed as well. And on top, and around the mirror, around the window, and around the whole box of the room, okay? Then put the crystals in it. After, you know, you can open it up and air it as well, and let the light in, because I'm sensing it sort of feels damp near, I'm seeing a window, it feels damp to the right of the window. Does that make sense? Yeah, email me a picture and I'll have a look at it, love. I can't seem to detach. Yeah, just email me on Yildiz readings on the website and I'll have a look at it and I'll message you back. Yeah, you need to move your room, Dale. The bed, I'm feeling a connection to the bed being somebody's. Was the bed always yours? It's heavy. Why is the bed so heavy? Good night, death card. I don't go to yard sales or antiques. Was always so it was a second hand initially, the bed. Am I correct? Is it like, oh, I'm seeing wood. You make me laugh, Olsen. What's on the right-hand side? Is there a drawer next to you? I'm seeing something to the right-hand side. We've got to get the trunk for Olsen. It's safer in there. Look, the thing is, when you have a bed as well, no wood on my bed. My son's has wood. Huh. How close to your bedroom is it? Is it adjacent to your bedroom wall? You're killing me, Olsen. Move it. Move your son's bed away from that wall. Clear his room. He energetically, has he been triggered? Has his energy been triggered? Because if his energy has been very triggered towards you, it is because his bed is on the other side of the wall of the dresser. Oh, move his bed, man. And that dresser, send me a photo of the 2 rooms and I'll read the energy in it. But I'm seeing his behavior being quiet, then triggered. Quiet, then triggered. But when children are psychically inclined, energy's attached to them and they bring them home. So it doesn't even need to directly be connected to furniture. We all actually bring energies home all the time. That's why when our frequency changes, we need to clear. So especially when we're empaths, they actually latch onto us. They come home. If they know that you're a seer, they come home because they want to communicate with you because they have unfinished business. So send me the photo. But I'm seeing your son actually, he receives downloads and he receives energy. Sometimes our gifts come in different shapes and forms, okay? So his can be he absorbs it and then transmutes it, and he's not understanding what's going on. He's the receiver, and then it comes out, but he needs to learn how to recycle that out and transmute that out. Do you know what I'm saying? So it can be very overwhelming. And kids at the moment, because they are empaths, what happens is you're standing next to someone, they're standing next to someone, they absorb that, they're able to detoxify other people, but what they're doing at a spiritual level is absorbing it and throwing it out, and they're directing it at you because they don't understand what's happening. Yeah, but what you're doing is locking yourself into the house with that energy. So be careful communicating back with them, especially when they're demonic energies, because you're actually letting them come in. Yeah, because sometimes we don't know, especially when we're developing it, sometimes when we're hearing it, you don't know who you're communicating with. If you have the knowing who you're communicating with, that's a different thing. But, you know, it's something you need to be really mindful of who you're communicating with. Is there anything I can do to get rid of constant depression? Make it through 2018. Everyone collectively at a different level, people who are awakening are in shitty depression. Bath salts, keeping active, finding something very basic to do that's going to transmute your frequency onto something more positive, something that is a cemented belief that you can have an outcome to. When we're only focusing on that of what we can't control, we're losing something to believe in. We need to have something to believe in so that we're still going to have something out of it at the end of it, and that can keep you going. Again, support, you know, it can be just mixing with people like-minded, obviously the natural ways, which is counselling, talking to your doctor. But at a spiritual level, if you feel you can handle it, the process of healing is a normality for 2019. But if you feel it's extraordinary, doctor. And don't feel bad about it, you know, because we know our bodies. We know what's right for us. So just accordingly make those decisions. But if you can get out and about and exercise, interact with people, even if it's just for 10, 15 minutes, you don't have to talk to them. Just be around energies of other people, of letting go and not thinking about the crap and just being in the moment. That's really going to help the frequency. Thank you for those of you who have liked the video. If you haven't, I would really love it if you did, because then the people can actually get this video, because when they see the likes, they're like, oh, that might be relevant, so hey, I'll go ahead and look at it, and it can help other people. So it's up to you whether you feel the video was worth it. Okay, I'm going to love you and leave you. Good luck this week. Try not to go crazy. If you are, book a reading and I'll give you a hand. Those of you who are new, a big warm welcome. Also in 2019, I will be opening up the Twin Flame Alchemist to Union channel that I will be doing live sessions on as well. I'll continue on this one, obviously, but on that channel is going to have your zodiac sign by twin energy. So I'll try and get it to the point it can be the beginning of the month, the middle of the month, and the end. So if you're interested, I have put the information in all the other videos of the link. I will put a promo on here as an update and give everyone updates. So if you do want to have the information, you can subscribe to Yildiz Readings website page, and I can give you the updates of how it's traveling. Love and light, guys. I'll wait for that photo. You'll be okay. You'll get there. Olsen, this is my attitude to it all. It's just going to be what it's going to be. It's like, you know, hey, at times this is the reality. You know how we were going, row, row, row the boat? Yeah, this is where it's at. Where's the control at? You know, if you can't do anything about it, what do you do? So, fuck it. Okay, I'm going to get back to recording for this month for Soulmate Twin Flame Energies, which will be on this channel. And I'll do it by zodiac sign. And the rest of you have a wonderful week. Try. If you can't, book a reading and I can give you the support. Love and light.